Internet, friend or foe. Internet crimes affect us every second of every day. Internet crimes include, but are not limited to, cyberstalking, identity theft, scams, and computer viruses. The information that I'm going to share with you today is regarding the crime of computer viruses. Who commits these crimes, the different types of viruses, and how to protect yourself against the viruses. So let's start with the who. Computer viruses are a crime. They are malicious software programs written by a variety of people. They are usually start at the very young age of 13 or 14. They're usually male, and most of the time it doesn't have anything to do with money. It usually just has to do with the reward of knowing they have the ability to do it and cause a little bit of problems. However, it has grown from that into bad people looking for these bright young children or these bright young people to help them create more viruses that are even more in depth and do more harm. Stealing money, stealing passwords, stealing information, selling that information. I read an article on Tech Republic, which I found on the internet, which was about one of the first persons to ever be arrested for a computer virus and convicted by the FBI. It was a David L. Smith from New Jersey. He was 31 years old. He was a computer programmer. He wrote the Melissa virus back in 1999. This virus, although he did not realize it at the time, he just wanted to cause a little bit of problems. He had no idea it was going to end up being an $80 million disaster for many people. The virus was linked to a sex site online, and when you clicked on it, it would attach itself to the first 50 addresses in your Outlook email address book. Well, you can imagine the problem there. Companies use Outlook for their internal emails. So it clogged emails, it crashed computers from companies all the way to the United States government. David, however, did assist the FBI with locating some other people who were writing viruses, and they were arrested too. David pled guilty and was sentenced to 10 years in prison, fined $5,000. He only served 20 months in jail, and that's probably because he was very cooperative with the FBI. Now, the who these days is much more complicated than it was in the beginning age of the internet and computer. So now that we've talked about the who, let's talk a minute about the different types of viruses. The information I have on this I found at a website by Cisco, C-I-S-C-O. The most common types of viruses, the most common types are viruses and worms. They self-replicate and spread copies of itself. Sometimes they can even modify themselves. Viruses spread from computer to computer through software or a document attachment through the network, a disk, file sharing, infected email attachments, leaving infection along the way. They're almost always attached to an executable file, which means that it can be on the computer for a while before it is activated by the host. Now the next thing are worms. Worms are similar to viruses in that they replicate. The difference is they are standalone software, which means they do not need a host program or a human to help them propagate or spread. Another type is a Trojan. Trojan is a harmful piece of software that looks legitimate. Users are tricked into loading and executing it on their systems. Unlike viruses and worms, Trojans do not reproduce by infecting files, nor do they self-replicate. Trojans spread through user interfaces such as opening an email attachment or downloading and running a file from the internet. Bots are the next thing. They can be good or bad software. A malicious bot is self-propagating. It is designed to infect the host and report back to the central server that acts as a command and control center. They are not immediately noticed on your system. They have all the advantages of a worm, but they're more versatile. If you would like to see a complete list of the known malicious software out there, Wikipedia has a list of them and what they do. It's very, very interesting. Now that you know some of the threats to us and our computers, how do we protect ourselves? This information is I also found at Cisco website online. Make sure that your operating system, whether it be Windows or whatever, is up to date. Apply the patches and fixes recommended by your operating system vendor. You should have an antivirus installed. You can get these Best Buy online and download them. Update it frequently because the guys are busy, and for every one that's out there, there's another 10 being created. So you have to stay up to date on it regularly. You want to make sure that these security systems, these antivirus systems, can scan emails and downloads before or while they're doing or during, that they can tell you whether or not it's a safe download. Consider installing a firewall. Firewalls can be hardware, software, or both. And another thought, just from my own perspective, the young people out there need more education on what is a crime when it comes to these software programs. There's some very smart young people out there, and they need to be taught that these are crimes. It's not just fun and games. It is a crime. They can be found and they can be prosecuted. They need to be guided in a more meaningful way with the ability that they have for this type of thing. In conclusion, the FBI has a cyber division, and they work hard to keep the bad guys who catch the bad guys who commit these crimes. We too must be vigilant in our attempts to keep our computers and information safe from these criminals. Just like we would not leave our car doors unlocked in our driveway or at a parking center, and we approach strangers with caution, we should use caution every day, every time we get on the internet. So be safe out there. Thanks.